Hello everyone, welcome to Prelims warm-up. In this initiative, we will be looking at 5 important questions which had appeared in the previous year UPSC Prelims examination. This initiative has been brought to you by Aptitude Academy for Civil Services, and my name is Shayak Datta. I am the faculty for Geography and Environment at Aptitude Academy for Civil Services. So let us start with our session today. The first question is from UPSC Prelims 2019, and this question has been asked from the environment section. The first question is, there are 3 statements which have been provided, and you have been asked that out of these 3 statements, which are correct. The first statement is, as per recent amendment to the Indian Forest Act 1927, forest dwellers have the right to fell the bamboos grown on forest areas. So there has been an amendment to the Indian Forest Act 1927, and according to that, forest dwellers have the right to fell the bamboos which are grown in forest areas. Is that correct? Answer is no. Because yes, bamboos, they have been, bamboos which are grown in the non-forest areas, they can be felled, as the status of tree no longer applies in case of bamboo which are grown in the non-forest area. So the first statement is correct, because so far as the bamboos are still growing in the forest areas, forest dwellers, they don't have the right to fell those bamboos. Okay, so the first statement is incorrect. The second statement, as per the Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006, bamboo is a minor forest produce. Okay, as per the Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006, bamboo is a MFP, or a minor forest produce. So when we talk about minor forest produce, so as per this particular act, Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006, we get to see that MFP, minor forest produce, basically implies to the, or this particular status of minor forest produce is applicable for the non-timber forest produce. So bamboo is one among them, hence bamboo is a minor forest produce. So the second statement is actually correct. Whenever the term minor forest produce is used, that basically implies it is a non-timber forest produce. Okay, so we'll see a number of examples I have also provided. So we'll see in the explanation part, okay, what are the examples of minor non-timber forest produce or the minor forest produce. So the second statement is correct over here. The third statement that we have, the Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006 allows ownership of minor forest produce to forest dwellers. Now, is that correct? Yes, that is also correct, because as per this act, the ownership of the minor forest produce, it lies with the Gram Sabha. So yes, it lies with the forest dwellers and the Gram Sabha. So the third statement is also correct. So the first statement is incorrect. The second and the third statements are correct. So your right answer should be B, 2 and 3 only. That should be the right answer, and B is the right answer. Let us look at the explanation part. So this particular ordinance that we get to see, the Indian Forest Amendment Ordinance 2017, what has it done? It has modified the Indian Forest Act of 1927. So what is the modification that has been brought about, or what is the amendment that has been brought about? It exempts bamboo which is grown in the non-forest areas from the definition of tree, thereby dispensing with the requirement of felling transit permit for its economic use. So long as there's a tree, in that case, if you have to fell the tree, or if you have to transport it from one place to another, you require permits for that. But as a part of this ordinance, we get to see that the Indian Forest Act of 1927, it has been amended. And what has been talked about in this particular ordinance, it says that bamboo, when it is grown in the non-forest areas, it will no longer be given the status of a tree. So since it is not given the status of a tree, hence the permit which is required for felling transit of bamboo in the non-forest areas, that does not apply any longer. Okay, so first statement you can understand, that is why we said that so long as it is in forest area, you still need permit, but if it is in the non-forest area, you don't need the permits. So first statement is not correct. The second statement that is there, the minor forest produce is defined under the Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006. It is sometimes also, in a short manner, it is also referred as the Tribal Rights Act. Okay, So Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006. All non-timber forest produce of plant origin. And what does it include? It includes bamboo, brushwood, stumps, canes, tassar. What is tassar? Tassar basically refers to the oriental moth that produces the brownish silk. So tassar is a type of silk, and we know that silk is produced from the silkworm, the silk moth. So tassar can also be collected, and it's a part of the non-timber forest produce or minor forest produce. What else? Cocoon, that also comes under minor forest produce. Honey, wax, lac, tendu or kendu leaves. This tendu and kendu leaves we get to see, it's a very important leaves, especially for the tribes who are living near or inside the forest, because they make bidi, they roll bidi from these particular leaves. That is tendu leaves, sometimes also referred to as kendu leaves. Medicinal plants, herbs, roots, tuber, these all come under the minor forest produce. Okay, so just have some broad idea as to which are the products which are included under the minor forest produce as a part of the Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006. Now, coming to statement number 3, the Forest Rights Act, it defines forest rights as inclusive of the right of ownership, access to collect, use and dispose of minor forest produce which have traditionally been collected within or outside forest boundaries. Individuals, communities and gram sabhas, they have the right under this particular section of the act. They will not only have the right to use but also the right of ownership over the minor forest produce. So it is not the forest department, rather we get to see these individuals, communities and gram sabha who will have the right over the use and the right to collect also of the minor forest produce. Okay, so this is with regards to this particular question. Moving on to the second question that we have. The second question is from Polity and Governance, again asked in UPSC Prelims 2019. And this question asks, which article of the Constitution of India safeguards one's right to marry the person of one's choice? Okay, which article of the Constitution of India safeguards one's right to marry the person of one's choice? Is it Article 19 or is it Article 21, Article 25 and Article 29? So out of the given options, we get to see that the right to marry the person of one's choice, it comes under Article 21. Please remember that this was asked in UPSC Prelims 2019. The right to marry the person of one's choice, it is a part of Article 21. And as you might be aware, Article 21, it talks about the right to life and liberty. So let us go to the explanation part as well. The right to marry a person of one's choice, it is integral to Article 21. Okay, the right to marry a person of one's choice, it is a part of Article 21. And what does Article 21 talk about? It is the right to life and liberty under the Constitution. And why was this particular question asked? This particular question was asked because the Supreme Court, it has said, and it had set aside a 2017 order of the Kerala High Court, which had annulled the marriage of a Kerala Muslim convert girl, Hadia and Shefin Jahan. Okay, so again, that detail is not important, but because it had appeared in the papers of that particular year, so that is why this question was asked in that context. So the right to marry a person of one's choice, it is integral under Article 21, that is the right to life and liberty. Okay, so for question number 2, the answer, the correct option should be B, Article 21. Moving on to the third question that we have. The third question is also from environment and agriculture as well. So this is a part of agriculture actually. So let us see. This was asked again in UPSC Prelims 2019. According to the Indian Patents Act, a biological process to create a seed can be patented in India. According to the Indian Patents Act, a biological process to create a seed can be patented in India. So that is incorrect. Okay, biological process to create a seed, that cannot be patented in India. In India, there is no intellectual property appellate board. Now that is also incorrect, because yes, there is an appellate board for intellectual property disputes. So second statement is also incorrect. The third statement that is there, that plant varieties are not eligible to be patented in India. So plant varieties are not eligible to be patented in India. That is correct. So only option C, That is 3 only. That should be the right answer. So let us see in the explanation part. Statement 1 is not correct. What was statement 1 talking about? It was saying that according to the Indian Patents Act, a biological process to create a seed can be patented in India. Now, that is incorrect. Similarly, it was also saying that statement 3 is also correct. That is, plant varieties are not eligible to be patented in India. That is actually correct. Because if we go by the Patents Act of 1970, what does it talk about? So as per the Patents Act of 1970, plants and animals in whole or any part, okay, plants or animals in whole or any part thereof other than microorganisms, but including seeds, varieties and species and essentially biological processes for production or propagation of plant and animals are inventions not patentable. So let us just go through this explanation part once again. What does the Patent Act 1970 talk about? It says that plants and animals in whole, of course those cannot be patented, so plants and animals in whole or any part thereof other than microorganisms. So microorganisms, there is a possibility, but including seeds, varieties and species and essentially biological processes for production or propagation of plants and animals. So all these things are inventions which are not patentable. This is what is said in the Patents Act of 1970. Okay. So the first statement, as you can understand, is incorrect, and the third statement which said that the plants, they are also not patentable, that is correct. The second statement, it was saying that there is no appellate board, right? So what was it saying? In India, there is no intellectual property appellate board. Now that is incorrect, because we get to see that the intellectual property appellate board, which is there, it is a quasi-judicial body. It was constituted in September 1958. The board, it is entrusted with the task of adjudication of disputes pertaining to copyright registration, assignment of copyright, grant of licenses in respect of works withheld from public, unpublished Indian works, production and publication of translations and works for certain specified purposes. It also hears cases in other miscellaneous matters instituted before it under the Copyright Act of 1957. So the basic thing is that there is an intellectual property appellate board, which is a quasi-judicial body, and it was set up, or it was constituted in September of 1958. So the second statement was incorrect. Only the third statement is correct, and that is why the right answer for question number 3 is C, 3 only. Moving on to question number 4, and here also we get to see this is a question from environment, also asked in UPSC Prelims 2019, and it talks about the Environment Protection Act of 1986. So what does it say? The Environment Protection Act of 1986, it empowers the government of India to do what? Number 1, state the requirement of public participation in the process of environmental protection and the procedure and manner in which it is sought. So Environment Protection Act of 1986, it empowers the government of India to state the requirement of public participation in the process of environmental protection and the procedure and manner in which it is sought. Is that correct? Yes. One of the best example is the example of EIA, or the Environmental Impact Assessment. So there we have a step which is called as public hearing, where we get to see that if an industry is supposed to be brought about, or it is supposed to be established in an area, then during the entire process of environmental clearance, there will be a particular step where the project proponent, they are supposed to discuss with the stakeholders and come up with solutions which will ensure that there is not too much of pollution occurring in that area, not too much of environmental problems occurring as a result of the project being established over there, and hence it will also result in better or harmonious relationship between the stakeholders, between the people who live over there, and as well as the project proponents. So this has also been in the news, the environmental impact assessment, because we get to see that there is a draft proposal which has been created to basically dilute this entire process of EIA, environmental impact assessment, to make it easier for industries to set up their businesses, to actually ease the process of doing business, and that is facing a lot of obstacles because we naturally environmentalists are not very happy about it, considering the fact that it is diluting the environmental norms, and it is actually going to harm the environment going forward. Okay, so please go through the draft proposals or the draft amendments which have been brought about to the EIA procedure. It is very, very important for this year's UPSC prelims. But anyway, this question was asked in 2019, and if I go by the first statement, that is correct. The second statement, it lays down this Environment Protection Act 1986. It lays down the standards for emission or discharge of environmental pollutants from various sources. That is also correct. So both the statements which have been given in this question, they are actually correct, and the right answer should be C, both 1 and 2. So yes, if I go by the explanation, the environmental impact assessment notification. Now, see, the question was talking about the Environment Protection Act of 1986. Why are we talking about environmental impact assessment? Because this environmental impact assessment notification, it was also announced under the Environment Protection Act of 1986. Okay, so it was made by the government of India in pursuance of the powers which have been conferred on it by the Environment Protection Act. So again, there is subsection 1, there's a clause 5 of subsection 2 of section 3. Now all that is not important, but what is important, you remember, okay, it is the Environment Protection Act which gives the government of India the power to enact, or which has given the power to enact the environment impact assessment notification. And under this notification, we get to see one of the most significant determinants of EIA is the procedure of public hearing, which is a very, very critical step actually in the process of EIA, and public participation on any development project. So if there is any kind of development project, before that industry, factory, etc. is set up, there will be a step whereby the project proponent will sit down with the stakeholders in that area and try to come to a middle point in order to ensure that there are no troubles going ahead, baad mein jaake there are no disputes, and also to ensure that the environment of that area is not harmed to a great extent. Okay, so it is a very important procedure, and we get to see that the government has come up with some draft amendments which will dilute this entire process, making it very, very harmful for the environment going forward. And it is very important that you learn what are the various ways in which the EIA process stands to be diluted if this draft notification passes through. Okay, going on to the second statement, as per section 3 of the Environment Protection Act, the government of India is empowered to make rules in the laying down standards for emission or discharge of environmental pollutants from various sources. So as we have already discussed, okay, as part of the section 3 of Environment Protection Act, the government of India, it is empowered to make rules in laying down standards for emissions or discharge of environmental pollutants from various sources. So both the statements are correct, and the right option is C, both 1 and 2. Moving on to the last question for this session. The last question again was asked in the year 2019, and this is also related to environment. So as per the Solid Waste Management Rules 2016 in India, as per the Solid Waste Management Rules 2016 in India, which one of the following statement is correct? Okay, so you have been provided with 4 options, and you have to select which out of them is correct so far as the Solid Waste Management Rules 2016 is concerned. A, waste generator has to segregate waste into 5 categories. B, the rules are applicable to notified urban local bodies, notified towns, and all industrial townships only. C, the rules provide for exact and elaborate criteria for the identification of sites for landfills and waste processing facilities. And D, it is mandatory on the part of the waste generator that the waste generated in one district cannot be moved to another district. So which out of this has been included as per the Solid Waste Management Rules 2016? So out of the given options, we get to see that C should be the correct answer, that the rules, they provide for exact and elaborate criteria for the identification of sites for landfills and waste processing facility. Okay, so let us look at the answer. The answer is C, and we get to see that the Solid Waste Management Rules 2016, it provides for detailed criteria for setting up solid waste processing and uh, treatment facility, solid waste management in hilly areas, for waste to energy process, for sanitary landfills, for site selection, development of facilities at the sanitary landfills, specifications for landfilling operations, and closure on completion of landfilling, pollution prevention, closure and rehabilitation of old dumps. So all of these have been provided under the solid waste management rules of 2016. So what does it do? It provides for detailed criteria for setting up of solid waste processing and treatment facility. For example, solid waste management in hilly area, how it is to be done. For waste to energy process, how that can be achieved. For sanitary landfills, for site selection, development of facilities at the sanitary landfills, specifications for landfilling operations, and also the closure on completion of landfilling. Similarly, pollution prevention, closure and rehabilitation of old dumps. So how all these things can be undertaken in a safe manner, all that has been provided under the solid waste management rules of 2016. Okay, so with this, we complete the 5 questions for this session, and I hope you have liked this session. In case you have, please like this video. Please let us know in the comment section how do you like this particular video. Please share with other UPSC aspirants as well so that they can also benefit. And for more such informative videos, please subscribe to AptiPlus Academy's YouTube channel, and we'll meet again next time with 5 more questions. Till then, stay safe and study hard. Thank you so much.
I'm an icon, man. And my girl about a 10. I should fuck her in a Benz.